The text came through at 2:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. I was in a meeting, phone face down on the conference table when it buzzed. Once, twice, 3 times in rapid succession. I ignored it, but when my phone started actually ringing, my sister never calls, she only texts, I knew something was wrong. I excused myself, stepped into the hallway, and answered. Marcus! Her voice was bright, almost giddy. I have amazing news. You know that old warehouse of yours? The one sitting empty all these years? Well, I finally did something about it. Sold it. Got you $350,000. You're welcome. The hallway tilted slightly. My hand tightened around the phone. You what? I sold it. I know you've been busy with work, so I handled it. The buyer was so excited. Cash offer, closed in 2 weeks. The money's already in escrow. Aren't you proud of me? I didn't answer immediately. Couldn't. Because the warehouse she just sold, the one she thought was worthless, abandoned, forgotten, wasn't empty at all. And it wasn't worth $350,000. It was worth $14 million. And she just handed it away to someone who knew exactly what they were doing. Before I continue, hit that like button and drop your city in the comments. And if you've ever had family make decisions about your property without permission, tell me your story. Sometimes the people closest to us cause the biggest damage. My name is Marcus Holloway, and for most of my life, I've been the quiet one. The steady one. The brother who didn't make waves. I'm 41, a commercial real estate developer who built my career slowly, carefully, one calculated investment at a time. I don't drive flashy cars. I don't wear expensive watches. I live modestly in a 2-bedroom condo downtown and pour most of my income back into properties that other people overlook. My sister, Vanessa, is the opposite. She's 38, loud, impulsive, and has spent her entire adult life convinced she's smarter than everyone in the room. She married into money. Her husband Trevor runs a mid-sized tech consulting firm, and she spent the last decade treating wealth like wisdom. Just because she lives in a McMansion and drives a Range Rover, she thinks she understands business. She doesn't, but she's always acted like she does. Growing up, Vanessa was the golden child. She got the attention, the praise, the unconditional support. I was the overlooked one, the kid who did well in school but never quite shined bright enough to pull focus from her. Our parents adored her. When she dropped out of college to find herself, they called it brave. When I worked 3 jobs to pay for my business degree, they called it expected. When our father passed away 6 years ago, he left us each a small inheritance. Vanessa spent hers on a kitchen renovation. I used mine as a down payment on an old industrial warehouse in a neighborhood everyone said was dead. The warehouse was a mess. Built in 1952, used for textile manufacturing until the 80s, then abandoned. Broken windows, cracked foundation, rats, graffiti, the whole disaster package. But I saw something no one else did. The neighborhood was 3 blocks from a newly announced light rail expansion. The zoning had quietly changed to mixed use, and the building sat on nearly 2 acres of land in an area where land was about to become extremely valuable. I bought it for $180,000. Vanessa laughed when she found out. Marcus, that place is a dump. You'll never make your money back. I didn't argue. I just smiled and said, maybe. For the next 6 years, I held on to it. I paid the property taxes, $4, $200 a year, manageable. I kept it insured. I ignored the offers from developers who wanted to lowball me. I watched the light rail get built. I watched boutique coffee shops open 2 blocks away. I watched luxury apartments go up across the street. And I waited, because I wasn't holding a warehouse. I was holding a lottery ticket, and the drawing hadn't happened yet. 3 months ago, a major development company, the kind that builds mixed-use complexes with retail, apartments, and office space, started quietly buying up the entire block. They were assembling a mega-development, 15 stories, 200 residential units, ground floor retail, rooftop amenities. Their plans had already been approved. They just needed 1 more parcel to complete the puzzle. My warehouse. I knew because their acquisition team reached out to my lawyer with a preliminary offer, $8 million, with room to negotiate up to $12 million depending on timeline and terms. My lawyer and I were in the middle of strategizing our counteroffer. We were aiming for $14 million. when I got that phone call from Vanessa. You sold it, I repeated slowly, still standing in that office hallway, trying to keep my voice level. How did you sell my property? Oh, don't worry. I have power of attorney. Remember? You signed it years ago when you were traveling for work and needed someone to handle paperwork. My blood went cold. She was right. 6 years ago, when I was flying constantly for site inspections and deal closings, I'd given her limited power of attorney to sign documents on my behalf if I was unreachable. It was supposed to be for routine stuff, renewing insurance, signing tax forms. I'd forgotten it even existed. Vanessa, I said very carefully, that power of attorney was for administrative tasks, not for selling property. Well, it didn't say I couldn't. And Marcus, honestly, you should be thanking me. That building has been sitting there for years, doing nothing. I saw an opportunity and I took it. That's what successful people do. Who bought it? A really nice development company. They were so professional. They said they'd been trying to reach you, but you never responded. I never received any communication from them. So they came to me instead. They knew we were family. They offered $350,000 cash, and I negotiated them up to $375,000. You're welcome, by the way. I closed my eyes. Took a breath. Vanessa, what was the name of the company? Summit Horizons Development. Or Horizon Summit. Something like that. Not the company that had offered me $8 million. A different company. Which meant someone had figured out what was happening, created a shell LLC, and deliberately targeted my sister because she was easy to manipulate. When does escrow close? It already did. This morning. The money should hit your account by Friday. Vanessa, listen to me very carefully. That property is worth $14 million. You just sold it for $375,000. Silence. Long, empty, disbelieving silence. That's not funny, Marcus. I'm not joking. I had an offer on the table for $8 million with negotiations going up to 14. You just cost me over $13 million. Her voice changed. Smaller now, uncertain. You're lying. You're just mad I did something without asking. I'm going to hang up now. Don't sign anything else. Don't talk to anyone. And get me the name of every single person. Howard Chun had been my attorney for 8 years. He specialized in commercial real estate, and he'd seen every kind of disaster imaginable. But when I explained what Vanessa had done, even he looked stunned. She used power of attorney to sell your property without your knowledge or consent, he repeated slowly, taking notes. For a fraction of its value. To a buyer who specifically targeted her because she didn't know what it was worth. Yes. And the sale has already closed. This morning, apparently. Howard leaned back in his chair, fingers steepled. Marcus, this is fraud. Clear, actionable fraud. Your sister may have had technical authority to sign documents, but selling property without your knowledge exceeds the scope of any reasonable power of attorney, especially when the terms are this disadvantageous. Can we reverse it? Possibly. We'd need to prove either that she exceeded her authority or that the buyer engaged in fraud by deliberately exploiting her ignorance. Both are arguable. But it's going to be complicated, expensive, and time-consuming. I don't care about expensive. I care about getting my property back. Then here's what we do. First, we file an immediate motion to void the sale based on unauthorized use of power of attorney. Second, we investigate the Summit Horizons company, find out who really owns it, whether they knew about the major development, whether they deliberately misrepresented the value. Third, we send a letter to Vanessa informing her that her actions may have legal and financial consequences. I nodded. Do it. All of it. Marcus. Howard hesitated. You understand that if we pursue this, your sister could be held liable for damages. If we can't reverse the sale, you could sue her personally for the difference in value. $13.6 million. Yes. I looked out the window of his office. The city sprawled below, buildings stacked like game pieces. Somewhere out there, someone was celebrating. They just acquired a $14 million property for pocket change because my sister thought she was being helpful. Start with trying to void the sale, I said. We'll worry about suing Vanessa if we have to. But even as I said it, I knew. This wasn't going to be simple. This was going to get ugly. I didn't call Vanessa that night. Or the next day. I needed time to think, to strategize, to let the initial shock fade into something more useful. Cold clarity. Howard's team worked fast. By Thursday afternoon, they traced Summit Horizons development to a shell LLC registered in Delaware, which was itself owned by another LLC in Nevada, which ultimately traced back to a private investment group that specialized in, surprise, land assembly for major developments. They knew. They knew exactly what they were buying and exactly what it was worth. And they'd deliberately gone around me to target someone who didn't. The preliminary motion to void the sale was filed Friday morning. By Friday afternoon, I received a call from a lawyer representing Summit Horizons. His voice was smooth, practiced, unconcerned. "Mr. Holloway, I understand you're upset about the sale of your property, but I'm afraid the transaction was entirely legal. Your sister had power of attorney. She signed voluntarily. The purchase price was fair market value for an abandoned warehouse. It wasn't abandoned, and the fair market value is $14 million. That's your opinion. Our appraisal showed. Your appraisal was designed to justify theft. You knew about the development. You knew what the property was worth. And you deliberately exploited my sister's ignorance. That's a serious accusation, Mr. Holloway. One you'll need to prove. I will. See you in court." I hung up. That night, Vanessa finally called me. Her voice was different now, shaky, scared. "Marcus, I got a letter from your lawyer. It says I could be sued for $13 million. Please tell me that's not real." "It's real. But I didn't know. I thought I was helping you. You sold my property without asking me. You didn't do any research. You didn't get it appraised. You just took the first offer that sounded good to you. They said it was fair. They showed me comps. Fake comps. They lied to you, Vanessa. Because you made it easy." She started crying. "Marcus, please. I can't afford $13 million. Trevor and I, we're leveraged on the house, the cars, everything. If you sue me, we'll lose it all. Part of me, the part that remembered being the overlooked kid, the part that was tired of her always being excused, always being protected, wanted to say good. Let her feel consequences for once. But another part, the part that still remembered her teaching me to ride a bike when I was 7, felt something else. Not quite sympathy. Maybe just exhaustion. I'm not trying to ruin you, Vanessa. I'm trying to get my property back. What if you can't? Then we'll deal with that when it happens. Marcus, I'm so sorry. I really thought. I know what you thought. You thought you were smarter than me. You've always thought that. But you're not. You're just louder." The silence on the other end was heavy. "I have to go," I said. "Don't sign anything else. Don't talk to anyone else. And for God's sake, stay away from my business." I hung up before she could respond. The legal battle took 4 months. 4 months of depositions, document reviews, appraisals, expert witnesses. Howard's team built an airtight case. Summit Horizons had deliberately targeted Vanessa after I refused their lowball offers. They'd misrepresented the property's value. They'd used comparables from different neighborhoods to justify their price. And most damningly, internal emails showed they knew exactly what the major development company was planning. The smoking gun came in the form of a text message one of their acquisition specialists had sent to a colleague. Asterisk, owner won't sell. Going through the sister instead. She has no idea what it's worth. Easy target. Asterisk. Easy target. When Howard showed me that text, I felt something cold settle in my chest. The judge agreed. In a strongly worded ruling, she voided the sale, ordered the property returned to me, and required Summit Horizons to pay my legal fees plus damages for attempted fraud. The property was mine again. By the time the ruling came down, the major development company's offer had increased to $15.2 million. I accepted it. The sale closed 3 weeks later. I didn't tell Vanessa about the final sale price right away. I let her sit with the anxiety for a while, wondering if I was going to sue her for the difference. Wondering if she'd lose her house, her cars, her comfortable life. Finally, I invited her to lunch. A quiet restaurant, neutral territory. She arrived looking smaller somehow, less certain. We ordered. Made small talk. Then I slid an envelope across the table. "What's this?" she asked. "Open it." Inside was a check for $500,000. Her eyes widened. "Marcus, what?" "Your share," I said simply. I sold the warehouse for $15.2 million. After legal fees, taxes, and other costs, I netted about $11 million. I'm giving you $500,000 as a gift. Not because you earned it, but because you're my sister. Tears started rolling down her face. I don't deserve this. No, you don't. But I'm giving it to you anyway. With conditions. She looked up, wiping her eyes. You never touch my business again. You never make decisions about my property. You never assume you know better than me. And you use this money to pay off your debts so you can stop living beyond your means. She nodded, unable to speak. And Vanessa, you need to understand something. You almost cost me everything because you thought you were smarter than you are. That text they sent, they called you an easy target. That's what people see when you walk into a room thinking you know everything. Not confidence. Vulnerability. Her face crumpled. I'm so sorry, Marcus. I really am. I know you are. But sorry doesn't fix it. Only change behavior does. We finished lunch in relative silence. When we left, she hugged me tightly, desperately, like she was afraid I'd disappear. Thank you, she whispered, for not destroying me. You're my sister, I said simply. But don't ever do it again. 6 months later, Vanessa sent me a text. Asterisk, paid off the house and both cars. Trevor and I are living on a budget now. It's weird but good. Thank you for the second chance. Asterisk, I didn't respond right away. Just smiled and put my phone down. The warehouse sale money was invested in 3 new properties, all in areas I'd been watching, all with potential no one else had noticed yet. Quiet investments. Patient investments. The kind that don't pay off for years, but eventually pay off huge. Because that's the difference between people who build wealth and people who lose it. Patience. Research. Humility to admit what you don't know. Vanessa learned that the hard way. It cost her almost everything. But some lessons you can't learn any other way. My sister sold my empty warehouse for $350,000. She had no idea it was worth $14 million. But I got it back. And I taught her something more valuable than money. Respect for what you don't understand. If this story hit close to home, drop your city in the comments. And if you've ever had family interfere with your business or finances, share your story below. Sometimes the people who love us cause the most damage, not out of malice, but out of ignorance. Hit subscribe. There are more stories to tell.